Hello, I'm Portia Young. Welcome to another edition of 1036 here on Milwaukee PBS Channel 10 at our new time, 9 p.m. on the third Thursday of each month. In this episode, hear from two recently retired Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra musicians about what it takes to make it in a symphony and about their very special friendship. Plus, October marks a big anniversary for the Milwaukee Braves and their fans. One popular player's daughter talks about her dad, a very special MVP. We begin with an important follow-up on lead and our health. You may recall last March, 1036 brought together city leaders and local health professionals to talk about the lead water crisis facing Milwaukee and some older surrounding suburbs. Well, 7 months later, how much progress has taken place? We learned from our public media partner, WUWM environmental reporter Susan Bentz, that many people believe not nearly enough has been done.
During our 1036 special, Lead in Our Health, Milwaukee Public Health Commissioner Bevan Baker said he wanted to be perfectly clear about the dangers of lead in water.
This is perhaps one of the biggest modern-day public health crises that we're facing here in our city, in our state, in this nation.
The health commissioner has stuck to that message for months. So far, the health department has distributed 3,000 water filters to area residents.
We are progressing in the way that I'd like to see us, but I think the sense of urgency has to be even more.
Baker says that sense of urgency needs to come from the state and federal government to deliver more funding to cities like Milwaukee.
I think the mayor and I have taken this as one of our important public health priorities, and we've done everything that we can to advance that notion. But we need investments by our state. We need more investments by our federal government to aid local cities like Milwaukee and being able to do the things that we can to advance and to ameliorate lead hazards in our community everywhere.
Baker says Wisconsin is second to last, 49th of 50 states receiving public health funding. Only Mississippi receives less.
So if the state could just move to the middle of the pack in terms of the money that it gives to public health concerns, then I think that would be remarkable.
However, Baker says the city is not standing still, waiting for the state to step in. 8 months ago, the city rolled out the first phase of a public health awareness campaign called Lead Safe Milwaukee.
Because peeling, chipping, and cracking paint becomes small paint chips and dust inside a home.
The campaign's scope is broader than the lead and water risk. It folds in information on lead paint and urges parents to have their children tested for lead poisoning 3 times by age 3. Chipping lead paint has historically been the city's public health centerpiece. The health department is sticking to its message that paint poses the greatest risk to young children. But Commissioner Baker says the awareness campaign is designed to be all-encompassing.
It's a major 3-prong approach of our public health awareness campaign, and I think we've done everything that we can to consistently and without bringing about fear and hyperbole to the discussion, to try and tell people where the science is, tell people how they can protect themselves and their families and their children while we do all that we can to get lead hazards out of our environment. By concentrating on one more than the other, you then give people a false sense of security, and they could get overrun by that false sense of security.
But community concern began to stir before the city's awareness campaign. In September of 2016, when Mayor Tom Barrett suggested families install filters to protect themselves from lead and water exposure, some people started raising questions. Is the city doing enough, getting the message out about the risks people face when they turn on the tap? Hunger Task Force and its volunteers are among those concerned.
Welcome to the Milwaukee Nutrition and Lead Task Force canvas here in Bayview.
On a recent autumn evening, teams went door to door to share lead information in a Bayview neighborhood off Oklahoma Avenue. Bayview has among the highest number of lead laterals feeding water into homes in the city.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Sherry. I'm from Hunger Task Force. We're doing doors in the Bayview area to let people know about their risks involving lead and lead paint, lead in water, lead in soil. Did you know that you're at risk?
No, but I'd believe it.
Are you aware that this house has a lead lateral leading up to it? It does. It's on the city's website.
Not every Bayview resident welcomes the message.
So I can't leave you anything behind?
No, because I've worked on this stuff.
Okay.
I've worked on this stuff all my life.
But one neighbor was alarmed. He didn't realize his 6-year-old daughter was at risk of lead contamination.
If your daughter's 6 years old, she sees much more risk than you are.
Alderman Tony Zielinski joined in the door-to-door campaign. He represents Bayview and adamantly believes the city is not treating the lead and water issue as a public health threat.
You know, as we continue to talk to more and more people, this is just not on people's radar screen. There's so many other things going on. That's why it's important that we increase our outreach efforts and we get out the information.
Zielinski has been trying to turn his concern into public policy. He's pushing a resolution to heighten public awareness about the risks in water. And Zielinski wants Milwaukee to clearly state that installing filters, NSF certified, is the best defense until the pipes underground are replaced. Their proposal faces opposition.
Our goal is to minimize risk, not to increase fear.
State Senator Lena Taylor is putting herself in the middle of the debate.
If a resolution does not say that every house you sell, every foreclosed property that you have, that you need to make sure, just like we do a notice for lead paint, that there's a notice for lead laterals, then it's not adequate.
Dr. Patricia McManus with the Black Health Coalition of Wisconsin has been involved in the lead and water conversation since September 2016. That's when the Milwaukee Common Council created a task force to try to come up with solutions.
So there's got to be a way that there's more discussion and more information that would get to the homes better. You know?
So you're saying clear information.
Clear information
simple.
On lead and water, not mixing it with lead and paint. Right, clear issue, making sure that it gets to the people most at risk.
Public Health Commissioner Bevan Baker says the mayor, who did not make himself available to 1036, is doing what he can, but the city is limited without state and federal support. Next week, October 22nd, the city will roll out Phase 2 of its Lead Safe Milwaukee campaign with the aim to get the word out to more people through bus shelters and TV ads.
You don't stop the messaging after one time. We're going to be delivering this message continuously. Not everyone's going to get it. It's not everyone's priority. It's out of mind, out of sight. What we have to do in terms of public health is to do this work even under the eclipse of people's thinking it's a concern and make certain that we can reduce risk, minimize risk. That's what we have to do. So we don't stop because people don't know.
The Department of Public Works reports it's on track to replace 650 lead service lines by the end of 2017. 437 have been replaced to date. That happens when there's a break or a rupture on either the city or residents' side of the pipe. In his proposed 2018 budget, Mayor Barrett says 800 lines will be replaced. Tens of thousands of old pipes remain.
This is partly about financing, but it's also about priority. And until lead hazards removal is a priority for all, it will always be a concern for most.
For 1036, I'm Susan Bentz.
We have another follow-up for you, this one about police relations in Sherman Park. During our special Beyond Sherman Park last August, we heard many people talking about the importance of a good working relationship between residents and police in order to improve safety in the neighborhood. 1036 attended one of the Sherman Park Police and Resident Listening Circles, an initiative of the nonprofit Zeidler Center for Public Discussion. Pilgrim Rest Missionary Baptist Church at 38th and Keith hosted the session.
We want safe neighborhoods. We want better neighborhoods. We want to be able to work together to sustain these types of neighborhoods, in which the only way we can do that is if we open up, learn from each other, and be able to talk to each other.
Those in attendance took part in a free community meal before sitting down to chat in small groups with police officers.
The only reason why that would matter if you could tell me that the police is going to uphold policy to the letter.
That's what I was telling you.
This was the first of 4 fall listening circles in Sherman Park. The next one is October 26th at 6 p.m. The Zeidler Center is also conducting sessions in other neighborhoods throughout Milwaukee. Another positive step in Sherman Park is the completion of a community mural at 47th and Center. Integrative community artist Tia Richardson led the movement to get neighbors to help identify the concept and help paint the 17 by 56-foot mural, Sherman Park Rising. The idea followed unrest in Sherman Park in August of 2016. Richardson's vision is that it will serve as a constant reminder of hope and unity throughout the community. For more on these topics and others, check us out at MilwaukeePBS.org. 60 years ago, in October of 1957, something exciting happened for Milwaukee. The Braves went on to defeat the New York Yankees to win the World Series. The Yankees called Milwaukee Bushville, but the Braves proved them wrong. The Braves were the best team in baseball that year, and pitcher Lou Burdett was the best of the Braves. Joanne Williams takes a different look back at the man who led the Braves to that World Series title.
Presenting now a study in perpetual motion. Nitro Lou Burdett on the mound. He fusses, he fidgets, his design is to distract.
This is the story of the most valuable player, the MVP of the 1957 World Series, Lou Burdett.
We played the Yankees, and the Yankees were supposed to kill us. And we beat them in 7 games because Lou won 3 games out of the 4 games that we won. He was unbelievable.
It's also the story of the man who was the MVP, most valuable parent to his children.
I was very much a tomboy because it got me a way to be around my dad. And he'd take us off in the Jeeps and showed us how to fish and showed us just any time I could be with him was amazing.
And the MVP, most valuable partner to his wife.
My dad was an amazing caregiver for my mother who had Alzheimer's her last 10 years.
Lou Burdett was the right-handed pitcher for the Milwaukee Braves when they beat the New York Yankees to clinch the World Series in 1957.
He steps on third and it's all over but the tumult and the shouting. The new world's champions of baseball, the Miracle Men from Milwaukee.
To get into the World Series, the Braves won the National League pennant on September 23, 1957.
The Braves did it, clinched the pennant. They came close before, but this is it.
And Burdett got more than the victory.
I was born the day after they cinched the pennant.
In 57?
Mm-hmm. I was a World Series baby.
Of course, Lou's daughter, Mary Lou, was too young to know anything about the World Series. So when Burdett's plaque was dedicated on the Braves' Wall of Honor in early summer of 2017, here is how Milwaukee Brewers field announcer Rob Edwards described some of Burdett's amazing achievements.
He pitched 3 complete game victories. Not just 3 victories, 3 complete games, which nobody had done in a World Series since 1920.
My mother, while Dad was on the mound pitching, she didn't tell him all the stuff that was going on at home. My brother got the flu, the Asian flu. My sister ran into a thorn bush, and I was born, and she was a new mom. And here he calls her, "How's everything?" "Everything's great." My mother was an amazing woman who would pack us up every summer and move us to wherever Dad was. And he was a fabulous father that we would take and try to take every ounce of time with him when we got him. It's easy to come up here and share with you all just how privileged and honored and grateful we are to be here today, because who you're honoring for his prowess in baseball gave us a great life to live as a family.
Baseball crazy Milwaukee loved Lou Burdett, and he loved being in Wisconsin with his family, 3 daughters and a son, and his wife, Mary Ann.
There were so many good memories, but I will tell you one of the things I loved about my dad is he was very much a rescuer, a protector. And I got in a car accident coming home from college. This was after he had retired. And it scared me because somebody ran a stop sign and hit me. And he drove up from Sarasota and picked me up and took me home. And he was there for me, but he was there for all of us all the time.
Mary Lou cherishes the memories of life with her dad in their house in West Dallas.
Growing up, gosh, I don't know. There were so many times we just loved being around him. He would make snowmen in our little house. I remember that. It's probably one of my youngest memories, was that he would make a snowman, cut lines in the snow and roll the snow and do it. And my mom and brother spent all this time making a little one on the porch, and he just goes out there and does this and makes this one right outside our back in the backyard. And I remember being able to see that.
Blues all business as he sidearms a third strike past the Cubs' Walt Morin.
Baseball brings a lot of people together. It's a family sport. People love it, and it's one that people are friends for years and years afterwards. It's really pretty cool.
So who were the friends your father kept for all those years?
Eddie Matthews, greatest, his roomie, Warren Spahn, for years. They would see each other every year. They would get together in Florida, and because Warren had a place down there as well. And Johnny Logan, he was a friend of, gosh, he was just a friend to anybody.
You said he never met a stranger.
He would go in some place and not know anyone, and he'd come out with a friend. I mean, he just loved people.
When a professional athlete's playing days end, they have to write a new chapter for their life. Lou Burdett worked in real estate, as a pitching coach, spent some time on television, and dabbled in music. Burdett was known as a fun-loving guy, so in about 1959, he recorded a novelty song that had been around for a few years. It had a title that he probably liked. It was called Mary Lou.
Mary Lou.
His daughter, Mary Lou, found a very special way to remember her dad, a way where people who may not know anything about his fame in baseball can find a friend. His family created the Lou Burdett Caregiver Fund to help families coping with Alzheimer's.
We have Lou's Place at Care Cottage, which is an adult daycare, and we have a special room that's kind of a family room that's got a lot of pictures and all his baseball cards and some of the picture of Mom and Dad and the family. And what you know of him in the sports world, we know of him as an amazing dad, amazing husband of 58 years who loved his wife dearly.
That love took on an even stronger bond when Lou earned his final MVP, taking care of his dear Marianne as she battled Alzheimer's.
He would get up in the morning. He got to where he would make her those breakaway cookies that you bake, something to get her to eat first in the morning, and then he would make coffee. And then he'd spend the morning, because he loved having his coffee and his newspaper time. And my mother would be like, the coffee's too hot, the coffee's too cold, but she was just, that was her illness. And so just so he could have time with her, he would make the cookies, do the coffee, and be there the whole time changing it while he was reading the paper. And then throughout the day, he did things for her constantly. And sometimes he would tell stories and she'd go, oh, that never happened, because she forgot. But they had a great relationship, and they used to spend time every day just talking, and it was kind of neat. And I loved that they did that. What was really kind of special was the last thing my mother could eat were the little cookies, because he would take them to her and when she was bedbound, and that was the last thing she could still eat. And when Daddy died and we told her, people were like, don't tell her. And I said, no, we have to tell her. She opened her eyes, a tear came down, she squeezed my hand. I knew she knew. And 4 months to the day, I think Daddy came back and got her. He was really good. He would go see her every day, and towards the end, and it was amazing.
Many of us enjoy sitting back and listening to our wonderful Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. But what you may not realize is what it takes to be an MSO musician. 1036 sat down with two recently retired MSO musicians and discovered their frame of mind about music, passion, and finding a friend in each other.
It's a very particular world.
we have to work as a unit in this orchestra, 90 people playing music to the nth degree, where if somebody slips up, it's completely obvious and everyone knows, and so you have to play as close to perfection as you can. I would absolutely do it over again.
Musicians are just the greatest. They're just such a wonderful bunch of people. I just love everybody I've worked with over the years.
I'm Liz Tuma. I'm a retired cellist from the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra, retired after 42 years.
My name is Andrea Wagoner. I'm a retired first violinist in the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra, where I've been playing for 37 years.
Andy and I go way back. I mean, I think she and I were friends very soon after she came to the orchestra, and we're just tight.
When I met her, we were in the musician's lounge at the coffee machine, and I think I didn't have the right change or something, and she was like, oh, you know, of course. She gave me a quarter or whatever it took back then, and we started talking, and really, we just, from the get-go, we're very good friends. We've taken lots of vacations together, gone camping together. We have plans for the future together. We're both interested in the natural world. So, yes, it's a very deep and old friendship.
We're travel buddies, and we did a lot of camping and driving to coasts and listening to Stevie Wonder.
She and I do talk about music a lot, mostly because it's such a huge part of our lives.
I was in a family of 5 children, and 4 of us played instruments. I had a sister who played the viola and another sister who played the violin. My mother played the violin, and I wasn't going to play any of the instruments that anyone else was playing. And I also loved the look of the cello. I was fascinated with all the wood and the appearance, and I loved it. The cello, you have a single line, and it's also very melodic and very soulful and expressive, and it was way more my style, so. The cello dominated, and so I went on to University of Michigan for a year and subsequently went to New York and Philadelphia and studied. Finally got my artist diploma from Curtis Institute in Philly.
My musical training really began when I was 5 with the piano. My mother was our church organist, and so I heard her practice a lot. I was so eager to play the violin because I'd always really loved it, and we had some records that I loved. So, so I played and you know, was fairly good at it. So that always kind of boosts you forward. And then when college came, it just seemed like it'd be a great career to go to music school. So I did wind up at the Cleveland Institute of Music.
It takes about, I would say, 10 years of dedicated practice to become proficient enough to even attempt to join a professional orchestra, unless you're a wunderkind.
It would take, you know, a lot of drive to stick with it and practice and work as hard as you have to. And, you know, you need to pay a lot of attention to detail.
Auditioning is a necessary evil. It's a very difficult process. And it's about the only way that orchestras can actually find candidates that are going to be good for the institution and good for the orchestra, good for the section. That being said, it's not much fun. I got here and it was, there were, I think, maybe between 50 and 60 cellists who auditioned that day. And we were all put in a room where, one big room, where we were all warming up, which is, of course, completely unnerving because you're surrounded by other people and you hear them playing the same excerpts you're playing, and it's hard. And then about 10 minutes before you actually perform the audition, you're given a room by yourself where you can kind of collect your thoughts and get your act together, and then you go out and you are behind a screen because we have very strict rules about any kind of discriminations.
What you do in an audition is really unlike the way you play any other time. You're oriented toward being really note perfect, detail oriented, not sticking out in an obvious way, but still being very musical. It's a kind of a high wire act. The reason I did get this job in the MSO, I mean, I've been on enough audition committees to know what you look for. You just look for somebody that's very prepared.
I was not the actual winner. I was the second winner, if you could call it that. And there was an opening, a one-year opening for the MSO that they decided to fill at the same time, and they offered me this one-year position. And I thought, well, that's ideal. The cellist you're replacing called from Mexico, and she's not coming back. Here I am, 42 years later.
After 37 years with the orchestra, you know, it's interesting. People ask me what I plan to do. I do plan to make the violin part of my retirement. You know, without the constant drive.
I won't miss trying to get on buses with my cello.
My favorite MSO moment, that's hard. But you know what really does kind of pop into my head right away is that trip to Cuba. We were there less than 48 hours, and it was unbelievable.
One of my favorite memories was playing the Dvorak Stabat Mater, which is an absolutely gorgeous choral piece with Zdeněk Makal, who was our conductor, and he was Czech. My father was in the audience for that, and we're of Czech descent, so we had a special moment there.
It's the right decision, you know, when it's time, and you put one foot in front of the other, and then you're finished.
Bravo to both of them. Well, it's time for us to take our bow. And reminder, check us out at MilwaukeePBS.org. And remember to watch 1036 at 9 p.m. on Thursday, November 16th, right here on Milwaukee PBS Channel 10. We leave you with the beautiful sights from above. China lights at the Berner Botanical Gardens in Hales Corners.